The medical bay aboard the Kethara research station. Calathon's watch operates with the quiet, practiced efficiency of a facility that has been processing routine examinations for 5 years, without significant incident. Nurse Kethara has worked here for 3 of those 5 years, long enough to have developed the specific rhythm that medical professionals acquire when they've performed the same procedures hundreds of times. Check vitals. Run diagnostic scans. Document baseline measurements. Flag anything unusual for physician review. Complete the examination. Move to the next patient. The choreography is so practiced that Kethara can complete a standard checkup in approximately 25 minutes while maintaining the kind of attentive care that ensures nothing gets missed through routine familiarity. Today's schedule shows 42 appointments spread across 3 examination rooms. A typical day. Human and Kethara personnel requiring the 6-month health review that long-term space station assignment mandates. Most will be unremarkable. Healthy individuals receiving confirmation that they remain healthy, documentation updated, cleared for another 6 months of duty. Lieutenant Marcus Webb's appointment is scheduled for 1400 hours in Examination Room 2. Kethara reviews his file during the brief transition between patients. Human, male, 32 years old by Earth reckoning, assigned to the station's communications division for the past 18 months. Previous checkups show consistently healthy baselines. No chronic conditions. No medication requirements. No reported symptoms or concerns flagged for this appointment. Routine. Completely routine. Marcus arrives precisely on time, a habit Kethara has noticed is common among human military personnel, who tend to treat medical appointments with the same punctuality they apply to duty shifts. He's relaxed, friendly, clearly not concerned about the examination. This is simply a procedural requirement he needs to complete before returning to work. Lieutenant Webb. Kethara greets him with the practiced warmth that medical professionals develop, genuine enough to put patients at ease, professional enough to maintain appropriate boundaries. Standard 6-month review today. Should be quick and straightforward. Any concerns or symptoms you want to mention before we start? None, Marcus confirms, settling onto the examination table with the comfortable ease of someone who has done this before and knows what to expect. Feeling fine, no issues. Excellent, Kethara says, preparing the hybrid scanner, the piece of technology that represents 5 years of collaborative development between human and Kethara medical engineering. A device specifically designed to assess both species' physiology with equal accuracy, calibrated to recognize the significant biological differences while providing consistent diagnostic data. The scanner itself is an elegant piece of equipment, smaller than the purely Kethara medical scanners Kethara trained on decades ago, more sophisticated than the human medical technology that Earth brought to the Alliance. It represents genuine collaboration, human miniaturization expertise combined with Kethara sensor precision, producing diagnostic capability that neither species could have developed independently in the same time frame. Kethara has used this scanner thousands of times over 3 years. She knows its interface, its capabilities, its limitations. She knows the normal ranges for human vital signs, the expected patterns for Kethara physiology, and the subtle variations that fall within healthy parameters for both species. She begins the examination with practiced efficiency. Vital signs first: heart rate, blood pressure, respiratory function, all measuring within normal human ranges. Baseline metabolic activity showing healthy levels. Neural function consistent with previous examinations. Everything proceeding exactly as a routine checkup should proceed. How's the station treating you? Kethara asks while the scanner runs through its systematic assessment. Small talk serves a purpose in medical examinations, keeps patients relaxed, provides opportunities for them to mention concerns they might not think to raise in response to direct questions, helps maintain the human element in what could otherwise be purely technical procedures. Good, Marcus replies. Communications work is steady. No complaints. The Thessari crew I work with are great. Better food in the station commissary than what we had on the last posting. Standard conversation, comfortable. The kind of exchange that accompanies thousands of routine examinations across the station every month. Kethara continues the scan, moving through the standard protocol with the efficiency that 3 years of practice have produced. Skeletal structure assessment, normal. Muscular development, consistent with previous baselines. Organ function across all major systems, healthy parameters throughout. She's approximately 15 minutes into the 25-minute examination when the scanner displays something she doesn't immediately recognize. Not an alarm. The equipment isn't flagging a critical reading or indicating any dangerous abnormality. The display is simply showing a pattern that doesn't match the documented database of normal human physiological responses that Kethara has referenced hundreds of times. She pauses, studies the reading more carefully. The pattern is appearing in Marcus's immune system activity, specifically in how his cellular structures are responding to something. The scanner is detecting active molecular interaction, but the signature doesn't match any of the baseline patterns that should be appearing during a routine examination of a healthy human. Kethara's first assumption is equipment error. Scanners occasionally produce artifacts, false readings generated by calibration drift or interference from other equipment. It happens rarely with the hybrid scanners, which are built to exceptional precision standards, but it happens. She stops the scan, recalibrates the equipment using the automated protocol that clears most common sources of interference, waits for the calibration sequence to complete, approximately 90 seconds of verification that all sensor systems are operating within specification. The calibration completes successfully, all systems showing optimal function. No errors detected. Kethara runs the scan again, focuses specifically on the immune system activity that produced the unusual pattern, watches as the scanner processes the data with its typical smooth efficiency. The same pattern appears, consistent with the first reading, not an artifact, not interference, something the scanner is detecting reliably, repeatedly, in Marcus's physiology. Something Kethara has never seen before in 3 years of conducting routine examinations on human personnel. She doesn't panic. Medical training specifically builds the instinct to observe carefully before reacting. Unusual readings require investigation, not immediate alarm. The pattern isn't indicating danger, no critical thresholds are being crossed, no vital systems are showing distress. It's simply different. Unprecedented in Kethara's experience but not presenting as an emergency. She turns to Dr. Sarah Chen, the human physician working in the adjacent examination room, visible through the connecting doorway. Her voice is calm, professional, carrying the specific tone medical professionals use when they want a colleague's input without alarming the patient. Dr. Chen, when you have a moment, could you look at something? Dr. Sarah Chen has been practicing medicine for 11 years, 4 of those years in the specific subspecialty of human Thessari xenomedicine, that the Alliance created to address the unique challenges of providing medical care across species lines. She's conducted hundreds of cross-species examinations, reviewed thousands of diagnostic scans, and collaborated with Thessari medical professionals on enough cases to have developed genuine expertise in the biological differences and similarities between humans and Thessari physiology. She recognizes Nurse Kethara's tone immediately. Not urgent, not alarmed, but carrying the specific quality that medical professionals use when they've encountered something that doesn't fit their established understanding and want another set of trained eyes to confirm they're seeing what they think they're seeing. Sarah completes the measurement she's recording for her current patient, a Thessari engineer with minor joint inflammation that will require follow-up, but isn't urgent, and crosses into examination room 2. Marcus is still sitting comfortably on the examination table, looking relaxed and unconcerned. Kethara is standing beside the scanner with an expression that Sarah recognizes from years of medical collaboration. Focused attention on a display that's showing something unexpected. "What am I looking at?" Sarah asks, positioning herself where she can see the scanner's output clearly. "Immune system activity," Kethara replies, gesturing to the specific readout that's captured her attention. "Pattern I don't recognize from normal human baseline. I've recalibrated and rescanned, reading is consistent, but it doesn't match any documented response pattern in the human medical database." Sarah studies the display. Her expertise in human physiology is more current than Kethara's. She's been practicing human medicine longer, has access to the latest research from Earth medical institutions, stays updated on emerging understanding of human biological systems. If this pattern appears in documented literature, Sarah should recognize it. She doesn't. The scanner is showing cellular activity in Marcus's immune system that looks almost like adaptation, real-time restructuring of protein interactions at a molecular level. The kind of dynamic biological response that happens over days or weeks in response to environmental factors or medication, not the kind of thing that appears during a routine scan of someone sitting still on an examination table. "Lieutenant Webb," Sarah says, turning her attention to Marcus, "have you taken any medication recently? Even something minor like a headache remedy or a sleep aid?" Marcus thinks for a moment. "The standard anti-inflammatory the station medical bay provides. I had some minor shoulder soreness from moving equipment yesterday. Took one dose about 6 hours ago. The soreness is gone now." Sarah exchanges a glance with Kethara. "The standard anti-inflammatory. A Thesari medication that humans have been using safely for 3 years. One of the first successful cross-species pharmaceutical applications that the Alliance developed. Extensively tested. Well documented. Completely routine by this point. The medication you took," Sarah says carefully, "is designed to reduce inflammation by inhibiting specific protein pathways. Standard mechanism, well-understood interaction with human physiology. We've prescribed it thousands of times without unusual responses." She looks back at the scanner display. "But what we're seeing here isn't a standard medication response. It looks like your cellular activity is adapting to optimize the medication's effectiveness, restructuring protein interactions to enhance the anti-inflammatory effect beyond what the medication normally produces." "Is that bad?" Marcus asks, and there's a note of concern entering his voice for the first time. "I don't know," Sarah admits with the honesty that good medical practice requires. "It's not dangerous based on what we're seeing. Your vital signs are all healthy. The adaptation seems to be producing better therapeutic outcomes than normal medication uptake would. But it's not a documented human physiological response. It's not a documented response for any species I'm familiar with." She turns to Kethara. "I want Dr. Vethros to see this, and Dr. Marin from Xenobiology. This is beyond routine examination territory." Kethara nods and activates the internal medical communication system. Her message is professionally calm. "Dr. Vethros, Dr. Marin, requesting immediate consultation in examination room 2. Non-emergency, but we have an unprecedented finding that requires senior medical and xenobiology review." The response comes within 30 seconds, both doctors confirming they're en route. Marcus looks between Sarah and Kethara with an expression that's shifting from relaxed to genuinely uncertain. "Should I be worried? You keep saying it's not dangerous, but you're calling in the senior medical staff." "You shouldn't be worried," Sarah says, and she means it. "Medically, there's no indication of anything harmful happening to you. But scientifically, what we're observing doesn't match our established understanding of how human physiology interacts with Thesari medication. We need expertise beyond what Nurse Kethara and I can provide to understand what we're seeing." Dr. Vethros arrives first, a senior Thessari physician with 30 years of medical experience. The last 5 focused specifically on xenomedicine and cross-species care. He's followed closely by Dr. Marin, a human xenobiologist who specializes in comparative physiology between humans and Thessari. Sarah shows them the scanner display without preamble. Lieutenant Webb took a standard dose of Thessari anti-inflammatory 6 hours ago for minor muscle soreness. The scanner is showing his immune system engaging in real-time cellular adaptation to optimize the medication's effectiveness. The pattern is consistent across multiple scans. I've never seen this response in human physiology. Vethros studies the display with the focused intensity of someone reviewing data that contradicts his established understanding. His skin shifts through analytical blues, colors that Sarah has learned indicate deep processing of unexpected information. This is not a documented xenobiological interaction, Vethros says after several moments of silent observation. Humans and Thessari share approximately 60% structural compatibility at the protein level, enough for limited cross-species medication use with appropriate testing. But the interaction is passive. Human cellular activity accepts Thessari medication that's compatible and processes it through standard metabolic pathways. There's no active adaptation, no optimization. He looks at Marcus, until now apparently. Dr. Marin is running her own analysis using the scanner's xenobiology protocols, specialized diagnostic modes designed to identify cross-species biological interactions. Her expression shows the particular combination of fascination and concern that scientists display when data fundamentally challenges their theoretical models. I'm seeing protein restructuring at a complexity level that shouldn't be possible in response to a simple anti-inflammatory compound, Marin says, her voice carrying the careful precision of someone narrating observations in real time. The cellular activity looks almost intelligent, as though Marcus's immune system is analyzing the medication's mechanism and deliberately optimizing its own protein structures to enhance the therapeutic effect. She looks up from the scanner. That's not how human immune systems work. That's not how any immune system we've documented works. Immune systems defend. They don't optimize pharmaceutical interactions on the fly. A 5th medical professional enters the examination room, Dr. Kethara, another Thessari physician who specializes in immunology. She's been monitoring the medical communication channel and has come to see what's generated this unprecedented consultation. Within another 3 minutes, a 6th professional joins, Lieutenant Commander Morrison, the human medical officer who oversees all human health services on the station. 6 medical professionals are now gathered around Marcus's examination table, all focused on the same scanner display, all watching real-time cellular activity that none of them can fully explain. The room has shifted. Not into emergency mode, no alarms are sounding, no urgent protocols are being activated, but into something different, something quieter and potentially more significant. The shift from routine procedure to genuine discovery. Dr. Vethros has been practicing medicine for 30 years, and he has learned through extensive experience that the most significant medical discoveries often arrive not through dramatic emergency responses, but through careful observation of unexpected findings during routine procedures. He's watching Marcus Webb's cellular activity adapt to Thessari anti-inflammatory medication with the focused attention of someone who recognizes that what he's observing might fundamentally alter the theoretical framework that cross-species medicine has been built on for the past 5 years. Lieutenant Webb, Vethros says, his voice carrying the calm, professional authority that senior physicians develop, I want to explain what we're seeing and why it's generating this level of attention. You're not in danger. Your vital signs are completely healthy. But what's happening at the cellular level in your immune system is unprecedented in documented xenomedicine. Marcus nods, his expression showing the controlled concern of someone who trusts medical professionals, but would very much like to understand why 6 of them are currently studying his biology with such intensity. The medication you took is designed to reduce inflammation by inhibiting cyclooxygenase enzymes, proteins that produce inflammatory compounds in response to tissue damage. Vethros continues, shifting into teaching mode. In normal human physiology, the medication binds to these enzymes and blocks their activity. Simple, direct, well-understood mechanism. We've prescribed this medication to hundreds of humans over 3 years with consistent, predictable results. He gestures to the scanner display. But what we're observing in your cellular activity isn't normal medication uptake. Your immune system is actively restructuring its protein interactions to enhance the medication's effectiveness. It's identifying the therapeutic mechanism and optimizing its own cellular machinery to amplify the anti-inflammatory effect beyond what the medication alone produces. Is that good? Marcus asks. Therapeutically, yes, Dr. Marin interjects. The adaptation is producing superior anti-inflammatory response compared to standard medication outcomes. Your shoulder soreness resolved faster and more completely than normal therapeutic timelines would predict. From a treatment perspective, what's happening is beneficial. She pauses. But from a xenobiological perspective, it's impossible. Or at least, it should be impossible according to every model we have for how human and Kethara biology interact. Dr. Sarah Chen has been running additional diagnostic protocols, while the senior physicians explain the situation to Marcus, scanning for any indication of what might be triggering this unprecedented response. She's finding nothing that provides clear answers. Lieutenant, I need to ask you some detailed questions about your medical history, Sarah says. Have you ever had unusual responses to medications before? Even minor things like antibiotics working faster than expected, or pain relievers being more or less effective than normal. Marcus thinks carefully. Not that I've noticed. Standard responses to everything I can remember. No allergies. No complications from any medications I've taken. Any recent illnesses, infections, immune system challenges of any kind. I had a cold about 3 months ago. Lasted the normal duration. Nothing unusual about it. Sarah makes notes in Marcus's medical file while continuing the questioning. Any family history of unusual immune responses, autoimmune conditions, genetic variations that you're aware of? Not that I know of. My parents are both healthy. No significant medical history in the family that's been mentioned to me. She turns to Dr. Vethros. His baseline genetic profile from his initial Alliance medical screening doesn't flag any unusual markers. Standard human genetic variation, nothing outside documented parameters. Vethros nods, which makes this even more puzzling. If this were a genetic predisposition to enhanced pharmaceutical response, we should see indicators in his genome. But his genetic profile is unremarkable. Dr. Kethara, who has been conducting her own immunological analysis, speaks up from her position at the scanner's secondary display. I'm seeing something interesting in the temporal pattern of the cellular adaptation. It's not constant. It's pulsing, periods of active restructuring followed by brief stabilization, then another wave of optimization. She adjusts the scanner's resolution to focus on the specific cellular structures involved. That pulse pattern looks almost like learning, like the immune system is trying different optimization strategies, evaluating which ones produce better results, and then applying the successful strategies more broadly. That's cognitive language, Dr. Marin observes. Learning implies information processing and adaptive response based on feedback. Immune systems don't learn in that sense, they develop and refine, but over evolutionary timescales, not in real time during active pharmaceutical response. I'm aware of the theoretical impossibility, Kethara says dryly, but the data pattern is consistent with iterative learning algorithms. I don't have a better explanation for what we're observing. Lieutenant Commander Morrison, who has been listening to the medical discussion while reviewing Marcus's complete health history on a secondary terminal, raises a new question. Could this be a delayed response to something that happened earlier in his medical timeline? Some exposure or treatment that primed his immune system to behave this way when it encountered the Kethara anti-inflammatory. That's possible, Sarah acknowledges, but his medical history is thoroughly documented. Standard Earth childhood vaccinations, no experimental treatments, no exposure to novel pharmaceuticals or biologics. Nothing in his record that would explain immune system modification of this nature. The 6 medical professionals continue their analysis, running additional scans, examining the data from multiple perspectives, consulting the comprehensive xenomedicine databases that have been built through 5 years of alliance medical cooperation. The pattern remains consistent. Marcus's immune system is actively adapting to optimize pharmaceutical effectiveness in ways that no documented human physiology has ever demonstrated. After 30 minutes of intensive observation and analysis, Dr. Vethros makes a decision. We need to document this thoroughly, he says. Full medical workup, genetic analysis beyond standard screening parameters, comprehensive immunological profiling, detailed pharmaceutical response tracking. And we need to report this finding to the Alliance Medical Research Council. If this represents a genuine new mode of human-Kethara biological interaction, it has implications far beyond Lieutenant Webb's case. He looks at Marcus. This will require significantly more of your time than a routine checkup, multiple examinations over the coming weeks, detailed testing that goes well beyond standard medical screening. Are you willing to participate in that research? Marcus considers the question. 6 medical professionals are looking at him with expressions that combine professional interest with genuine scientific curiosity. His cellular activity is apparently rewriting established xenobiological theory. The situation has moved well past routine into territory that feels simultaneously fascinating and slightly unsettling. Will it hurt? He asks. No more than standard blood draws and non-invasive scanning, Vethros assures him. We're not proposing experimental treatments, just comprehensive observation and documentation of your natural physiological responses. Then yes, Marcus decides. If this can help understand how humans and Kethara biology interact, I'm willing to be studied. Dr. Marin is already composing the research protocol documentation that will transform this unexpected finding during a routine examination into a formal xenobiological research project. The paradigm shift is beginning, not with alarms or emergency responses or dramatic medical interventions, but with 6 professionals gathered around an examination table, quietly observing cellular activity that shouldn't be possible, documenting data that will eventually require rewriting fundamental assumptions about cross-species medicine. Marcus Webb came in for a routine checkup. He's leaving as the first documented case of adaptive pharmaceutical optimization in human Kethara xenobiology. The discovery that will, over the coming months, change everything both species thought they understood about biological compatibility. 3 months after the initial observation, Dr. Vethros delivers a presentation to the Alliance Medical Research Council that represents the culmination of intensive study involving Marcus Webb and, subsequently, 17 additional human volunteers who were identified as demonstrating similar, though less pronounced, adaptive pharmaceutical responses. The presentation is technical, detailed, built on rigorous data collection and analysis. But the core finding is straightforward enough that it will eventually filter into standard xenomedicine training across both species. Human immune systems, when exposed to repeated interactions with Thessari pharmaceuticals over extended periods, can develop adaptive optimization responses, real-time cellular restructuring, that enhances medication effectiveness through mechanisms that neither species naturally possesses independently. The adaptation doesn't happen in all humans. Current research suggests approximately 12% of the human population demonstrates the capability to varying degrees. The trait appears to have genetic components, though the specific markers are still being identified, and the adaptation only activates after sustained exposure to cross-species pharmaceutical interactions, typically requiring months or years of regular medication use before the optimization responses begin appearing. Marcus Webb simply happened to be the first documented case, because he was the first person whose routine examination occurred at exactly the right moment to catch the adaptation process actively in progress. The implications are significant. Pharmaceuticals can be designed to deliberately trigger and enhance the adaptive response in humans who demonstrate the capability. Therapeutic effectiveness can be dramatically improved for conditions that have previously been difficult to treat using either species' medical technology alone. The biological mechanism underlying the adaptation, once fully understood, might be applicable to other areas of cross-species medicine. But the discovery also requires fundamental revision of how xenomedicine approaches cross-species pharmaceutical development. The assumption that human and Thessari biology interact through passive compatibility, that medications either work or don't work based on fixed protein-level similarity, is no longer adequate. The reality is more complex, more dynamic, more genuinely collaborative at the biological level than anyone anticipated. Sarah Chen, who has become one of the lead researchers on the Adaptive Response Project, reflects on this during a quiet moment in the medical bay 6 months after the initial discovery. We spent 5 years developing cross-species medicine on the assumption that we were working with two separate biological systems that happened to have enough overlap to allow limited medication sharing. She says to Nurse Kethara, who has returned to routine examinations, but now scans every patient with additional attention to immune system patterns that might indicate adaptive responses. We were thinking about compatibility like fitting puzzle pieces together. Does this human protein structure align closely enough with this Thessari medication mechanism to allow safe interaction? She pauses. But what Marcus showed us is that the biology isn't passive. It's not just accepting compatible medications. It's learning, adapting, optimizing the interaction dynamically. We weren't working with puzzle pieces. We were working with biological systems that can teach each other new capabilities when given the right conditions and enough time. That's a fundamentally different paradigm, Kethara observes. Completely different, Sarah agrees. And we only discovered it because you paused during a routine examination and called people over to look at something unusual instead of dismissing it as equipment error or biological variation. The most significant xenomedicine discovery of the Alliance's first 5 years happened because a nurse recognized that an unexpected reading deserved investigation rather than explanation. Marcus Webb has become something of a minor celebrity in xenomedicine circles, the first documented case of adaptive pharmaceutical optimization, the patient whose routine checkup changed medical science. He handles the attention with good-natured patience, participates in the ongoing research when his duty schedule allows, and occasionally mentions to colleagues that he just wanted to get his shoulder soreness treated, and somehow ended up rewriting xenobiology textbooks. The medical bay aboard Calathon's watch continues processing routine examinations, 40-some appointments per day. Most are unremarkable, healthy individuals receiving confirmation that they remain healthy. But now, Every examination is approached with the awareness that routine procedures can become paradigm-shifting discoveries when medical professionals remain attentive to unexpected findings rather than explaining them away. Nurse Kethara conducts her examinations with the same practiced efficiency she's always demonstrated, but she watches the scanner displays with additional attention now. Looks for the subtle patterns that might indicate something unprecedented occurring in real time. Because she learned, on an ordinary afternoon during an ordinary checkup, that the most significant discoveries often arrive quietly, not with alarms or emergencies or dramatic interventions, but with a pause, a recalibration, a call to colleagues to come look at something that doesn't quite match established expectations, and the recognition that observation, rather than explanation, marks the first step toward understanding that what everyone thought they knew might be incomplete. A routine checkup took a turn. The alien nurse called everyone over to watch. The room shifted, not into panic, not into emergency response, but into quiet, focused attention on data that didn't fit established models. They watched. They documented. They recognized that they were observing something that would eventually require rewriting fundamental assumptions about cross-species biology. And from that quiet observation, from that willingness to investigate rather than dismiss the unprecedented, came understanding that changed medicine for both species. The paradigm shift that began with a nurse pausing during routine scanning and saying, simply, "Could you look at this?" Because sometimes the most important words in medical science aren't complex technical terminology or revolutionary theoretical frameworks. Sometimes they're just, "This doesn't match what I expected, let's figure out why." A routine checkup, an unexpected reading, a pause, a recalibration, a call for additional expertise, and the quiet beginning of discovery that would, eventually, transform everything both species thought they understood about biological compatibility. No drama, no alarms, no emergency protocols, just observation, just attention to the unprecedented, just the recognition that when biology shows you something you've never seen before, the appropriate response isn't to explain it away. It's to watch, to document, to begin the patient, careful work of understanding that might eventually rewrite what everyone thought they knew. That's how paradigms shift, not with explosions, with attention. The alien nurse called everyone over to watch. And in watching, they discovered truth that no theory had predicted. That's science. That's medicine. That's the quiet, patient work of expanding human knowledge one unexpected observation at a time.